All right, thank you, and everyone. All right, thank you, and everyone, for coming and listening to the Internet of Value Foundation New York, episode 164. Glad to be back here today, and of course, for this special space, at least in this uh, um, this information that that we have to share, of course, today. Some specific things from geopolitical kind of points of views, and as well as information from a science-based perspective of where we are and where we're going and the possibilities. And so I'm going to do a quick space today, just talking about some information of the video specifically I posted above top in relation to, of course, the news we have today. We have a new president that has been inaugurated or sworn into office. And I think the changes from a regulatory perspective that are going to come from hopefully this administration's perspective and points of views, and where the ability for technology and science-based projects are gonna really are gonna be able to get more funding for and be more applicable in needs of turning revenue-based operations possible because of the deregulation. So it's going to be really something super interesting. I think that's coming to the United States in particular, but I think the world will, for the most part, in large part, follow suit with this kind of philosophy that might be somewhat contagious as we expose it over here. But yeah, just give me a moment. Anybody who wants to come up, just feel free to hit the request, guys. I'll send some invites out as well, and I'll break down some information about the video I posted above, about that, and for anybody else in here, if you want to save that video, it's definitely a watch later on. I think it's if not one of my favorite, the top way to have a highly advanced but yet extremely digestible subject like bioelectric integrations, interference, manipulation, the thought of from a uh, not only um, chemical perspective, but a anatomical perspective in the way that we think about the operations of materials that are involved in these different scientific operations. They via like this agentile materials, right, cellular materials, organic materials, even synthetic materials, and digital systems. So I think there's also some relation in operation. So it's really interesting. But yeah, if anybody wants to come up, please feel free to hit the request. All right, sorry about that. Just grabbing a cup of tea real quickly. All right. All right. Sorry about that. So, going back to the video above, yes, the most interesting thing that, of course, my own perspective that I take from a overall summary from the video is this much deeper rooted understanding that behind the essence of what we consider to be life, or this evolutionary causal emergence effect that seems to be um, a process from a cultivation of time and material based off of specific call it conditions, right, that are set in motion. The interesting understanding or notion that the the sequence of events that set these off have some sort of much more um, symmetrical in relation to operation. And so, as we look at it from a perspective of today, you know, cellular operations, bioelectric operations, and a means of creating these different types of tool sets in the realms of life extension and the reduction of disease and fathom across, you know, widespread across our species, and hopefully not only planetary but maybe interplanetary in many different ways. These different types of notions of these understandings are going to be able to be utilized, and with that, um, the cosmological perspective, the larger macro perspective picture is, I think, really the you know, the, of course, the esoteric side of it is the part that I find the most interesting, and I think mm, down the road from a computational perspective will become more of a understanding and the means of the realms of consciously becoming aware of that perspective as a collective. But yeah, today, you know, we talk about it from a cellular perspective, and get some. Sorry, I'll send some more invites out. See if anybody else wants to come up and or has any thoughts or questions about anything I've said so far. Shellfish.
Hi, Death Ranger. Love the topic. Love Michael Levine. So super excited to hear the lecture.
Did you see the video from earlier?
I did not get a chance to watch it. I had started downloading it, but I did not get into it yet. There was too much excitement with the election day, so
Well, you know, I named the
or not
space. You know,
not election inauguration. I apologize.
yeah, inauguration. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I named the space, you know, today New Days, New Foundries, right? And Beyond the Neuron, of course, being part of the title of the space, sorry, of the video I posted up top, but wanted to be put it part of the space as well. But the New Days, the New Foundries, right? This thought of foundries, or this cultivation or accumulation of putting something together in means of having a control over the causal significance of the effect of it, you know, the decision and choice of that meaningfulness to be able to cultivate something as a as an essence of a multitude, right, whether it be a hammer and a tool, or a digital microchip, or a biological unit, you know, the cultivation of many different operations of unit molecules being bound together in different operational ways and forms to complete whatever the task may be, from a from an agent perspective. And this, you know, the thought of where we are biologically and the advancements that will come, you know, from the hopefully what I'm seeing, deregulation perspective from the administration and the overall essence of the, you know, powers that are in our particular, you know, office at this moment in the United States. And so, of course, we haven't seen any executive orders come out that we'd like to, right? But I think in the next couple days, it'll be really cool to see exactly, the direction everything is kind of going.
I'm absolutely excited for that. And you were teasing that space too, so I'm all ears about the neurons.
So, Deathringer, do you think it's really possible what um, Kurzweil and a few of these other people with the longevity, do you really think 5 years is all we really need to kind of make it to pass that threshold to actually have some type of life extension to the levels that they're expressing?
Well, see, here's one of the most interesting things about, I think, the the cultivation of the collective. When there is a directional choice for a multitude or a many, a large amount of our species, things always seem to get done very quickly. And of course, we typically underestimate what or overestimate what can be done in a day and underestimate what can be done in a year. The magnitude, I think, of possibility where, especially, we have this deregulated state, thought of the scientific explosion, this fifth industrial revolution we're about to enter into. The thought of some of the things that, of course, has been spoken about very recently, was the production of more data centers and more powerful computational control over the power of AI, and so, this being hand in hand part with the study of, molecular biology and science, and this, you know thought of, if you're going to interact with all of these different molecular units and these ion channels and this distribution of formations of essentially guidance and signals, and in relation to, trying to direct biological symmetries and all of this different complex units, our livers and our kidneys and whatever it may be, and our advancing different types of things in our bodies as well, maybe even taking it one step further than just curing things, but um, formulating things and more efficient means, and increasing of course, our understandings there. So yeah, I think, you know the sky is not the limit. The limit
What
is
what I heard,
us.
what I heard is like makes more sense to me in the regards when you're talking about life extension is the health time extension, right? Like people talk about the last maybe 5, 10 years of someone's life is troubled with sickness and illness. Like we get like all these issues. Like the last part essentially of life is, yeah, very very tough. So and people were like, what if you could extend that health time, right? So basically be longer healthy, even if you are older, still be fit, still don't have like all these medical issues, need a ton of maybe pharmacy medicines, all these doctor's appointment, and have more like of an abrupt end, like you know 80, 90 years old, and then you just die or something like that, without those you know 5, 10 years before that where you are yeah, with all the bad sickness and illness that you have out there, and which is really tough, I think, for everyone who's approaching that stage. And I think this would be really interesting to have that health time extension, be longer healthy, even uh, at an older age. I think this would be actually. I don't know if this is achievable or easier achievable, but because imagine you could extend life to 120 years, but all the extra years is like troubled with uh, illness and all of this. I can see a lot of people would rather not have that than.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I don't like to use the term immortality, but just even in the video that I posted above, with just where we are today, um, looking at something like an anthrobot, where you could essentially have the cells taken that you are a representation of, right, and already have them taught to be information to be guided back to being a pre early day cell, a stem cell, and have its direction be able to be guided in any sort of matter already. um Taking that thought of maybe possibly being able to have a drug that could do something very simplistic like that to yourself already, right? So turning back the clock on a lot of the different cellular units inside of your body, essentially being able to de-age you from a cellular perspective. And in this video above, where Michael Levine actually goes into the thought of cancer and it being really one of these very normal ways that the body actually starts to deteriorate and we fall victim to, uh, and actually it was really interesting the way he described it because it made a lot more sense where we have this agentile material inside of our bodies, right? The as I go into it, the liver and the kidney and all these different kind of functioning symmetries of material, but has its own agenda, and the border between which is known, right, by the representation of the cells that act of that unit inside of that agentile material. And cancer or tumors be it a representation of a dysfunction between that unitary structure. And so it actually be a breakaway, a disjointing of that communication between those ion channels, which leads to the tumor and the cancer. And so if you think about it from that kind of perspective, the enabling, or the thought and process of philosophically taking the approach from trying to give the cellular operations the power in which, or direction in which they need to come back together, to keep everything to working in the way that it's supposed to from an agentile perspective. I think, yeah, I don't like to use the word immortality, but live forever, and young, right? You don't essentially age in some sense. I mean, you're aging, but you're being also given the opportunity to reverse it. And maybe you do this every decade or so. So somebody who's like 60 today, or maybe 5 to 10 years from now, who's 60 or 70, they could essentially reset the clock, 5 to 10 years for themselves, and every 5 to 10 years or so could do so. But I think nonetheless, even today, Vet, right? Like if you just eat healthy and treat yourself right, I mean, there are people who are like 70 and 80 and 90 who are still in pretty physical fit. Um,
I mean, look at Trump. He
Bodies.
likes McDonald's.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I would consider him to be the most physically fit, but he definitely at least is able to, um, have a conversation from a mental standpoint. He seems, perfectly fine. So yeah, for sure, because there's definitely a difference in that as well. I think though being physically fit is still very important. I think it plays a role from a mental standpoint. And he's in his 70s, right? But 80s, 90s, hundreds. Yeah, age is just a number, maybe.
Ooh, we should explore that. What happens when age goes away too? Like, if we get rid of currency and we get rid of age, like where does that leave us? That'd be pretty wild. Living in the Star Trek era, no age and no currency.
Well, people will probably still have some sort of star count.
like star log for your body still? Because I mean, if we're traveling the stars, are you still measuring in Earth years, or like how would
Well,
that
so
work?
so time, right? Time being one of the, and it's interesting too because even from like a cellular perspective, there is some sort of notion behind the sequence of time, and I think it's relative to based off of the measurement of the speed of light, in some aspects of the way that the energy is just able to transfer between different cellular units that are interacting with each other, but yeah, time, right? This notion of time being kind of somewhat this part in law in which uh, persona gives us the personification of us being like this singular unit, right? Like you have a persona because you believe that you had a moment and you went through that moment, and then you take that moment with you into the next moment, and then based off of the way that you perceived to utilize that information, that would be your persona, right? And over time, you develop this different kind of substrate for that from that. Um, I think it would really then depend. Like if you'd be like, oh, I'm 4,000 years old, and I'd be like, oh, what star system are you talking about? And I think maybe then depending on the star system you're speaking about, it would be like how do you make it relative, right? And so I have to make it relative to your star system, vice versa, if we're from different star systems. Going pretty far out there though, Shellfish, huh?
Yeah, I mean that like kind of puts things into a weird perspective because it's like if there's humanoid subspecies that like date intergalactically, it's like, well, how old are you? Does she reach or does he reach the galactic age limit? Oh, she's only 17,000. Yeah, she's too young for you. Or oh, she's 100,000. She's too old for you. That's just like so bizarre to even think about.
Nice, Shellfish. But see, here's the thing though, right? From a biological perspective, our species, right around the age of like 11 years old, you kind of have this um, um, mental substrate for the most part that you'll probably carry for the your whole existence, right? Of course, you have different synaptic bridges in your brain that are building, but you also will never lose the synaptic bridges that have already been built. And so there is also different questions of like things like space between that, like and then like operation between cells. How much can you essentially guide a cell backwards before it would say run out of space to be able to store all the information that it's ever obtained. DNA. You think of the DNA. How many different ways of sequencing of DNA are possible, um, in ways of cultivating and storing information that can then be processed and utilized to have cells operate in different ways.
Wild times ahead. That's gonna be like centuries away, though, I would imagine.
Well, back to this deregulation standpoint, if we get a lot of things that not only deregulated but also like declassified, a lot of different mathematical calculations and things that you know can be used from a uh, commercial standpoint, I think we could see things escalate pretty quickly. Where the everyday artificial intelligence, large language model, computational system will be able to provide these, you know, not only directional, operational kind of guidances, but yeah, ways that you can use chemistry to be an innovator yourself nowadays.
Holy cow, you have bees in here.
Yes, welcome up, JB.
What's up?
What's up,
Wait, no
Shellfish?
way. What
What's up,
does he do
Shellfish?
here?
Well,
I, I'm
I'm
I'm in, I'm
excited that.
I'm impressed he's venturing out into the science technology spaces. This is nice.
Well, I mean, Shellfish. I've never really been much of a respecter of the the spirit of the space. I mean, but I won't derail it. I'll just be I'll just be yay be and just be here with you guys. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I was looking at that Jesus coin. I was just seeing if it would. But anyways, no, I'm just playing. Just playing. That was for Matt. But what's up?
So, do you have any tech questions or anything? Maybe we
Now
can
let's
like
talk
kind of.
about Yi.
I was just thinking like maybe we can open his mind up a little bit to
So
possibly any
let-
questions about it.
yeah, let's ask him this. So Yi, what is your first? So as an American, right? You're not German or anything like that, because he loves to ponder on that.
I'm big on Adidas. I'm big on Adidas. You know, first Nazi company. I'm sorry.
Too soon,
Oh.
too soon, too soon.
A little too soon. Sorry.
First of all, there were many
But jeez.
companies that worked with the Nazis that
Death, it
particularly
was just a joke, bro. You don't have
clothing
to go into the
wise
history of Adidas.
and chemical wise, and they're go into Monsanto and things like Bayer aspirin. I mean, you know,
Oh
unfortunately,
yeah,
these
we picked up the
operations are going
full
still on
Nazi
today.
scientist team.
That's
Isn't that
Hey,
yeah,
right, Death? The
Oh
yeah.
papers
my
I
God,
say
have
are
no
you
that.
are
idea.
you gonna are you gonna go into the whole fact that if we didn't have the Nazis, we wouldn't have the space program? Because I've heard
I
this
was
one
Yeah.
just
before.
no.
Oh God.
I'm just joking. I really am not a Nazi fan at all. Contrary to Yay, I am a very non-fan of the Nazis party.
Did you just say yay A, now you're yay B?
That's sort of the idea. But you can say
I
yay,
say
like you
yeah.
can just say yay or yay,
Yeah.
however you pronounce. I'm just yay B.
So what's your feel today on this holiday?
Well, I was waiting for the question. Didn't you have a question? Sorry, I think I cut you off.
Yeah, was my question. Like, how you feeling on this very big day for an American?
For MLK Junior Day, big day. Yeah, big day. It's definitely one of the best holidays we have, for sure, no doubt.
Any comments
Uh,
on the process today and the
Huh?
inauguration? Inauguration?
Oh, about the inauguration. I mean, that's all right. I mean, you know, I mean, Elon went a little hype. He got a little hype out there, and that was my favorite part, I guess. But he went a little too far on some level. But I mean,
he was just giving his heart.
I guess. I guess.
he literally
Zuckerberg.
tossed something up for the fur or whatever they called it back in.
Have you saw the pictures of Zuckerberg doing that
Yeah, and
sneaky?
this you seen
You
the
know, leave it.
Seinfeld episode where she's walking around in the bra? And they
You
look.
know, leave it to the internet. You could put a series of images together to create a mimetic static of the representation of the summary for what the average individual will take out of that entire scenario that happened.
Oh come on! I mean, supposedly it was like one of the coldest inauguration days of the year, and she chose to wear a jacket and a bra. Like, probably not the smartest of like outfit ensembles.
It was less the effort and the moment and more the moment that he perfectly was eyes angled. I
Yeah.
mean,
So busted. He
The
got
thing
so
is,
busted.
and there's so many cameras. People gonna get you. Essentially, that's the
But
thing.
speaking of busted, I mean, the girl was literally wearing a bra. I mean, that's hard not to look at just from a observational standpoint. Like Zuck was probably thrown. I mean, his analytical mind was like, this is too much. I
It
he
wasn't
can't
sure.
definitely
Oh,
take it.
he
hey,
definitely
who was the
smiled.
look? But there's also on the male side, we have also something because there was this senator from Philadelphia who were coming in with shorts
You
and a
saw how
hoodie.
he looked. That was such a smooth look, though. Like he did a rolling, like his eyes like roll across the horizon to just observe.
He just came in with shorts and a hoodie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the dude sitting beside behind Zuck.
No, 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 no. Let me pin it on the top. It was a senator from Philadelphia, and people were like, "Oh my
He
god!" Like,
Yeah, I know. He's always dressed like that. He's the
Oh, we're
only
talking about
senator.
him.
Yeah, exactly. He's the only senator that never dresses in a suit, and it's just this. It's a meme by itself.
okay, 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 yeah.
So embarrassing, bro. Put some freaking. Well, he doesn't really look good as. I don't know. I don't know. Fetterman, yeah.
Yeah, but shorts. I mean, it's freezing, right? You guys are talking about her wearing a bra. This guy's in shorts.
Oh no, it's stupid. I mean, as a Pennsylvanian, that's not. I'm not proud of that attire choice, but yeah, the bra is almost superior in this case.
Yeah, someone said, "Hey, don't be so anti other cultures. Shorts are like a tuxedo in Pennsylvania."
That was a good one. All right, bet. All right, bet. You got me.
So what else going on? Have you seen Mr. I breaking that 1 million views on a post about Trump? He
Well, there's
fired
a lot.
bangers today. Yeah.
There's a lot of people on the internet. I don't know what Trump does for people. I can't. I can't figure it out. But he does something for people. He really does. He inspires something in the genetic code. I think it's similar to the kind of what rose up your people in the 40s. And I'm just playing. I'm just joking. But people like Trump. They like him. They like him. You know. I'm just joking. I don't not like Trump that much. I'm just making fun.
I, for one, am just happy from the perspective of the overall, what I would take it from the macro perspective of the administration and all of the individuals I so far have heard from that are involved from it. The deregulation, the the mention and speaking about establishing something like a external revenue service and hopefully decommissioning and getting rid of the internal revenue service, establishing a tariff based system to incentivize operations inside of the United States. Yeah, I think this is hopefully some great times for the philosophical approach the United States is taking, Western civilization is taking, and maybe the UK and Europe will kind of take foot in some of this as well with some of the changes that will take place. And yeah, I mean, like the economic situation that could come from that, I think could bring definitely some prosperous times.
Hey, Vet, has anybody actually launched a cleavage coin yet?
I'm sorry, what?
A what Bitcoin?
A cleavage?
Wow. A cleavage. No.
Cleavage.
I
I'm sure it's out there. If you can dream it, it's been done. But
Man
yeah,
Shelley.
I got if I was in left field, the ball just hit me right in the face.
Yeah, Shelley got me. I was like, oh,
I'm totally thinking like you could pump so hard.
It'll be jacked. It'll be jacked up. It'll be jacked.
it's a damn Shelley. Did you really say that?
Oh my god, the marketing is so ripe.
Can you stop, Shellfish? Please.
Melons. I don't know. I could
What are you
totally
talking
like
about?
go for hours.
So many varieties. So many potential like NFTs.
I'm so sorry. Back to neurons and the fountain of youth.
I told
Take it
you.
away,
See,
Navigator.
you bring me up on stage, and technology just goes out the window, and we start talking some dumb stuff.
What would you want to talk about?
No, 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 you guys. I just came up for. If I come into space, it's an impulse. Like I just have to hit that button, the microphone button. I have nothing to share that's like positive or uplifting or beneficial in the conversation. I'll just sit
If
here
there's something
silently.
that is dragging us down, you're welcome to say that.
Okay, how about this, JB? Are you like a biblical person? Like, because supposedly, like, didn't Moses live to like 800 years? Like, what if we're just going back to that?
Noah, yeah, I believe Noah lived 800 years, or actually it was Noah lived 777 years. He had three children at the age of about 500.
Didn't he had like
And Ruth, didn't she have kids like up until like 300? She was like really old when she had kids. I think she was like 300.
I'm gonna have my next kid at 500. Yeah.
Sarah had Isaac when
Yeah,
she
more.
was 90 years old.
wait, you had your religious episode. You had your religious episode.
What?
Religious episode?
episode. I used it's the way you said episode. That was the German accent I was struggling with.
Yeah, we still didn't answer.
Yeah, I think you're right, Shellfish. Though, for the record, I mean, it depends how you accept or reject those records. Those testimonies of people living extremely long lives early on, and how that may have been possible. And it does appear that that's where we're kind of heading back to. So, it's you wonder with those pyramids and stuff on the Earth too. Like, was there civilizations? I think that's pretty, you know, a decent like question to ask. Like, was the technology advanced in a
Was
different kind of
was
way?
Moses in space? Because doesn't like time go at a different speed when you're in space? Maybe Moses was floating around in like orbit.
I think you're referring to Noah, but yes, like just the practicality of getting two animals, like all of the two animals, is a lot of animals, and you wonder what that means, like technically speaking. I mean, I don't. So yeah, I mean, what was the ark, and what does it mean? All those things. Very good questions, interesting questions. I don't think we'll find a good answer, but I wrestle with some of those in my own mind. They're selfish.
I feel like I have to prompt Moses in space now and see what happens.
Yeah, it's still Noah. It's still Noah. Um, I think that's really who you're shooting for, and you just keep saying Moses.
Was it Noah actually lived 800 years? I think Moses like go out into the desert and are you sure?
I mean, sure as
I guess
buttons,
maybe you would be
chief.
more
Like I'm as sure
I
as
mean
I
they
can.
all kind of lived a really long time.
I mean, Moses lived a nice, healthy 120, but it's not a
Did
777.
he really 120? Did he really live 120 years? And roam the desert for like 40 years?
Or was it Noah's father who lived 777 years? I think it was Noah who lived 777 years, but it may have been Lamech, his father.
And see,
But
here's
at
the
any
thing,
rate,
right? Like, so, and this is like, in a reference of like when I didn't want to say immortality earlier, right? Because like I think we're on the precipice of life extension, but that doesn't mean like you can't get shot, right? Like, or somebody throws a spear at you, right? Because there's definitely total like snake poison or something, right? There's probably still going to be a ton of ways that you could still, become deceased. Sorry, carry on with the conversation. I'm sorry. That's just I thought.
I'm curious about like okay because I do massage therapy and I know like gravity pulls things down as you get older. Like, can you imagine like I don't even want to go
are
there.
you
Like
coming
the
back
whole
to the
like
bra coin, the cleavage coin?
I am. What is a
Like, how
seven
low can
hundred and
you
seventy
go?
seven year like what does gravity do to the body at that age? I don't even think did they have undergarments at that stage? It was just kind of like a toga, right?
I think that's entirely speculative, and I would assume that they developed some type of a garment, some type of some type of
Did they have
protection.
Christian JB? Did they have Christian thongs back then?
I don't even know.
Did they twerk it?
This is like a buddy of mine said, like Christian go-go dancing. I'm not sure that genre exists or not. Same with Christian thongs. Like, I'm not sure. I mean, I think I think that's more of a generic kind of undergarment choice, though I would say probably less desirable amongst the Christian community than its other communities.
I think Hatua Girl was a Christian.
You know, she was a sweet girl. She started a little bit early. She hawked, she tooed. She memed a little too soon, and I feel bad for her because like what here's an interesting play, Shellfish. What if you bought Hawk Two a coin right now? I mean, does it still exist? Could you still buy it? Is Hawk Two about to
Yeah,
blow?
you
No
know.
pun intended.
Well, like, here's one of these things, right? Like, one thing's a rug where you have the individual who essentially operated the project, began everything, sold it with some sort of promise of something going to happen great in the future, and then just kind of sells their entire position, and then it's just like, I wants nothing to do with it, right? But then you have that other perspective of where you have all of these people who have kind of rallied behind something and they don't know what else to do except kind of just keep rallying behind it. And in some cases, that becomes contagious. And then you have other new people that come in and just rally behind it as well. And so, it's really weird because then you also have like market makers and bots that play a role in there somewhere. So things like still survive even after the disasters that happen. Take, for instance, Luna. Your thoughts?
Yeah, these coins keep coming back, don't they? All right, back on track.
Sorry, so you're going long, Death Ranger? Is that what you said? You're going long, Hawk?
Back on track, Shuffles. You can't just put a rocket ship in the way of
Rile
the
everybody up like that, and then just like leave it all out there. Yeah. But so what else besides I don't know, Michael Levine
Biblical
would you like
aging.
to talk about? Biblical aging, yeah.
It was just a quick space. I personally said, especially from a recording standpoint, I really said everything that I wanted to speak about. I mean, it's a video I posted above up top in my tweet, from a information standpoint. If anyone wants like a really in-depth summary from Michael Levine of all of the different things that really he in this video, I think this is like his best video in my opinion, that I've seen him be able to put together, that encompassed so many different techniques and scientific approaches and philosophies, and showed where we are and where like the next steps of kind of the direction of where things are going to go, and then also really in the end also added a little like conscious perspective into it, like from a philosophical approach, which I think is very powerful, because I think the more that gets touched on, the more that we'll have this understanding of the nature of the symmetries in relation to the physics of the underlying operations behind the symmetries of all of the different material that makes cellular units what they are, and in perspective, all of the different binding of molecules and life, and we are N1, right? If you think of the Earth, we are essentially just the single unit in operation of the way that we understand this symmetry to have taken hold. But I think, as we also grasp more magnitudes and computational perspectives and understandings, we'll be able to create different types of representations of these molecular formats, and you know kind of pick and choose what we kind of like to see.
I would say his videos and his field of study is probably the closest I've seen to where I think humanity is going. When I hear people like talking about like the hardware and the computers, like the old PC sitting on the desk, that is like furthest from where I think we'll be. I really think a lot of it is. I know JB's not like down with this, but I think a lot of it will be merged with us. I don't think like all this stuff will be necessary within my lifetime. I mean, I guess unless I get into a car accident or whatever you
Wait,
said.
what was it that I wouldn't be down with?
Well, so,
Merging.
here's the thing though, Shellfish, right? I think when you say merging, you're talking about synthetic merging, right? And so you're talking about like mineral operations on some sort of silicon-based substrate, and then having that integrated into your biological substrate, right? Your agentile self, but there are also the opposite approaches. I think there'll be the understandings in which you'll be able to have different tweakings in the way that the symmetries of the biological units operate, and well, that you'll see the same technical possibilities of operations be done, and the reason for that being denoted, and this is also something Michael Levine goes into. This is the multi-scale intelligence kind of approach with the morphogenesis model behind a system. And so, take it away from talking about it from it necessarily having to be a biological system or a digital system, right? And look at it more from a philosophical approach of a problem solving system, right? What kind of symmetrical operations of guidance can be, performed through this substrate, and what kind of results can be done inside of it. And then you kind of, you think about the thought in our organic systems being able to be utilized just like computational or units are done on a digital system and scale. And so we just have to learn how to manipulate those, in these particular instances, these ion channels between the cells that distribute these standards and systems that create the guidances of the approaches for cells. And if we can induce this, and this is also something Michael Levine talks about, all of the different types of techniques, because there are already multiple different types of techniques to kind of take this approach. And even to the point of like light induced ion channels, where you distribute essentially just an electrical charge system, which releases its own chemical, distribution of signals, and from this, you can control cellular operations.
Sharper,
JB,
can you give me the
you gonna
translation?
merge?
I don't even know what Death Ranger just said. I have no idea what that man just said. Can I have a translation, please?
Can we have this in translation like a 5-year-old? Like
Yeah,
that's usually what I
if
do.
you
I'm
can
like, all
translate
right.
for Death, I think that would be better. I don't think Death can translate himself.
Oh, I can do
Substrates
this. I can
of
do
the
this.
future of technology.
You started with substrates. That's an immediate
Yeah,
fail. I need it
I
lower.
I can do this. All right. Control interface for your biological
No,
unit.
no. You started with interface. I can't. You need to bring it down. I
Uh,
need you.
um,
You talking about like a
yeah.
cyborg thing, like where I
Yeah,
get
oh
controlled
yeah,
by a
cyborg is definitely
Terminator?
cyborg could be a possibility. But you see, the cyborg though thing is like you're talking about where Shellfish was going, with like a mixture, but with like automated units. So you have like say some sort of hydraulic system, and some sort of like polycarbonated digestive tract system mixed in with your organic, operation of a heart, and then all of these different types of mineral based, substrates for your body, right? I don't, I think it's going to be a possibility, but I also don't think it's going to be a mandate. I think you'll be able to say perfectly like yourself, JB, just with the ability to take like a drug that just makes you age younger and possibly become like somewhat of a superhuman. Not like Superman superhuman, but like a superhuman in the sense of like your muscle fibers will be able to repeatedly regrow themselves and be much more strenuous. And so, the intensification of your ability to have power or strength behind that. And so, going to thought of
JB,
gravity, also selfish, right? It's like how can we think about the gravity of the earth and then take the symmetries of your cells and have them perform in operations in ways that do all of these things, increase all of your abilities to be like a superhuman without even having to worry about the thought of the gravity of the earth. It becomes
All
like
right, you
a
want the Holocaust?
hey,
afterthought.
hold on,
You
JB.
want
Do you have inner dialogue? Like, do you have like a voice that you like kind of chatter with in your brain? That are like, should I have eggs today or bacon or should I have cereal? Like, do you have that little inner voice that you talk to, or you kind of like have that conversation with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly in my head
Not
considering
everybody
talking.
has like a little like conversation that goes on their head, and some people have it more in depth than others. And I like to think of like how you have your earbuds in right now. Like you and I are talking, and there's no way for you to
I'm
determine whether
speakerphone.
I'm a human right now or an AI. So you could be getting comfortable with me being in your ear 24/7, or at least as much as you are on spaces right now. And I could be getting used to you, you be getting used to me, and I could be your future AI in your head that you would opt in or opt out of, right? And it could be something that like I'm learning you and like going, okay, JB only likes to hear his wife's voice sometimes, and sometimes he just wants to hear the dudes. So like I would change up my voice as your AI to like be able to like make you comfortable with it, not
I
manipulate you,
always
but
love my
like
wife's voice.
help regulate. So you could have like an AI that would like kind of replicate your wife's voice and be like, JB, ooh, do you really think the burger would, I mean, you still have free choice, you have free will. Do you think the burger is really what
Yeah,
you
I don't
needed to
want
eat
that.
today for
I don't
lunch, or
want
maybe
that
you should have the
software.
salad?
I don't want that software. I
But
love my
but
wife. I
imagine
love my
having,
wife, but I
like,
don't
you,
want my wife
but you
following me
already have,
around, tell me
like,
what to do.
you already have biological systems that are in your body that are not actually you, that are called, that are already doing work.
All right, bet. You want to hear what I would do with this technology, like Death Ranger said? You want to hear how I would assess it? I would take it on a case by case basis. It's just like if you were so afraid of modern medicine that you didn't receive treatment for cancer or something, or you that would probably we have Amish. I know Amish. I mean, and it's a way of life. It's a style. So I think they're not bad actually on dealing with new technology because they take it on a case by case, but they definitely have a more conservative tilt. I would say take it on a case by case basis. There's some things that I might be more hesitant to entertain, but you also don't want to be too closed off. So that I mean, if there's a way of maintaining body health through new technology that might integrate with my body, then I might think about it. But I would have to assess it on a case by case. There's always trade offs. There's trade offs with technology. And so I'd have to consider the trade off in a case by case basis. So it's hard to give a sweeping answer. I think that's the way that will handle these questions going forward, though, for Rizzle.
Okay, how about this for, like, instead of like a cancer cell point, like you kind of were like throwing out there, because so many, like, this is like one of the biggest drugs in the world, and I know you're gonna like kick me later for talking about this, Death Ranger, but Viagra, like having like nanobots that would be able to feed that part of the ego, right? Because so many people are like, oh, like when you hit a certain age, that's like something that's a problem. Not for everybody, but like people still want to be able to function there. And so like having an AI or nanobots in you that could access that, um, because we are so
David, you need the Viagra nanobot.
I'm totally
It was the
pitching
way
like
she said
Viagra
function, and
nanobots
I
to
just thought
JV
that
right
was
now.
going a different direction with I thought that was hilarious. I was just thought that was funny.
Viagra
First, proceed with
nanobots.
the example.
Selfish.
You can proceed.
I'm totally gonna go work for Viagra. Hey, hit me up, Viagra. I do have a resume on LinkedIn. Viagra
Yes,
nanobots.
they're getting
So, was your
they're getting in
question?
the
Do
nanotechnology
I think I'll
sector.
need
Yeah.
Viagra in the future? I don't know. I mean, at a certain age, yes, it may be possible that you still, you know, that you want to get a little,
But what if
more
you have the
excited and
nanobots?
you
Like he was
yeah.
saying, like you're there, it's like technically muscle and it controls blood flow, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have like the nanobots and you'd be like, yo, AI, do your shit. And like you don't have to go get Viagra. You
But
could just
tell
be
me the
like
advantage of it. Like, I get
nanobots
your
on,
approach,
like
like the whole
kind of like
nanobot
Green
thing.
Lantern.
I just don't. Tell me the advantage of the nanobots versus the Viagra. I'm having trouble kind of splicing the advantage here of the
Well,
nanobots in this case.
the Viagra definitely causes cancer today, but then the nanobots will give you the same effect with hopefully, of course, without that being the opposing side
Oh,
effect.
see, this is a case by case. First of all, I'm not sure that I'll need or not need, but in the case that it's absolutely needed, and there was a choice between a cancer causing drug. Well, it also depends how often you're taking this stuff. I mean, you take one Viagra, I can't imagine that you next day have cancer, but let's just hypothetically say, the choice of the nanobots. Now, how long are the nanobots going to stay around? Because I don't want them, I don't want them making choices without, what I'm saying. I want to sort of know when the nanobots are going to act up because that could be a problem. Let's say I wet sweatpants out. I was being lazy, went out, pick up the paper and sweatpants, and then the nanobots jump out. There's considerations that we need to.
Can I say this is probably like one of the top IOV spaces, up there with the drone Santa, Jesus, and Gandhi parade that we did years ago. I am so glad you stopped in, JB. This has been like this has been awesome. I hope this episode of IOV is one of the ones that like when they're going through like the Egyptian pyramids and they're going through the hieroglyphics of like today, they're like, this was a classic. Y'all have to watch and listen to this episode of the space because I'm like crying right now. Nano penis. This is great.
Wow, that's not what we were gonna title it. I didn't think so, but I mean, if that's the title that you feel is the right title, Shellfish, then so be it.
Quantum penis? Quantum. It's quantified.
Oh my god. Atomic? No, okay, whatever. I mean, what is what it is, and hopefully maybe the nanobots can help with that too. I don't know what these nanobots are capable of. The nanos, so
Your imagination is the only thing that's stopping it from being whatever you desire it to be, JB.
Yeah, maybe the nanobots will be more from an organic standpoint, and so you'll just be able to take cells from your body, turn them into what would be called anthrobots today, and then you can inject them back in your body, and they could essentially be you, JB. They never leave because they are you.
these are still the penis nanobots, or are they different ones?
They could be whatever, which one you want.
Do you
Oh my god, wait. This is so bad, but like, does it depend on like where the nanobots are from? Are they US? Are they German? Are they Asian bots? Like, does that
No, I
like
think I
contribute to
I think
anything?
what's important, probably not, but I think what's important will be is that they'll probably be taken already from your living structure. So the it'll be very easy to essentially give them the information they need and inject it back into you, whatever needs to be done,
again?
or
What
whatever
do you
needs to be done.
do besides like providing erection at a certain point in time? What are the actual use cases of these nanos?
So the Anthrobots, so at least in the use case and study that was performed in the video up top, so you could take something like a cut, a scratch on, say, a neurological material, or you could think of it as like a wound somebody could have on their brain, and you put this cellular material on top of the wound, and it literally over, 12 to 24 hour period began to bind the wound
We just
together.
call
So
that Wolverine Death Ranger. We all will know what it means if you
that's
just say
it.
like Wolverine bots. Then
That's
we'll
it.
get
That's
that.
right. Exactly. You got it.
Would I take Wolverine bots? Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
and from just a single 1 hour session of electromagnetic propulsion into the ion channels, so just one session, you could have a year and a half of growth.
Now, or what are we talking about
Hold on, wait a second, JB.
specifically here?
Adamantium penis? Is that a thing?
That's what it sounded like.
What is going on with you two here?
Well, you keep talking about like growth, like this, like growth, and you're not really specifying. You were talking about Wolverine, but now you sort of pivoted into growth, and I was sort of tracking with Shellfish there that you seem to have gone in a different direction.
You guys. Yeah,
Erection.
let's call it regrowth. I don't even know. There's no really way to get around it though, I guess.
Hey JB, this is the best. Like, so Death Ranger is very like proper. So like these are the best moments when you can like try to see how he's gonna pivot out of the conversation and bring it back. Like how far he'll let the conversation sway down this line. It's so fun.
Well, you're not
And
a very helpful
he'll be
host.
like, all right, back to apples.
Yeah, so Death Ranger's blushing out here.
Back
Talking
to
about
apples. What am I, shellfish?
I was talking about apples. Uh, well, that could be in your NFT collection, Shellfish. You know that you got apples, you got berries, you got melons. I mean, there's a whole different variety.
But apples are the forbidden fruit, aren't they?
No, it was a,
That's debated, actually.
it was a fig, if I'm not
Did you
mistaken.
say fig because they hung on the fig
Or
tree? Did they put it in
pomegranate. I've
grapes?
heard
Put
pomegranate
it in
too, potentially
pomegranates.
was.
I drank a pomegranate.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I don't know what's the size about this seed. It's not that good to me either. But
Death Ranger, we are entertaining at the moment about 40 people, and you got a few anons. I'm sure they're
Shout out to the
crap,
anons. Yeah, we got
right?
eight. We got eight anons. It's almost a quarter of the space.
There are some that say that the forbidden fruit was actually, well, a couple different things, but it could have been. It seems that the first humans were born or made like a male and a female, and then were divided at a certain point. But it does, like, Jim Gaffigan has a good skit on this. It's worthwhile, very scientific approach. But he's like, whoever lusted after a fruit, like, ever. I mean, if you said like funnel cake, well, maybe,
I
or
don't know.
like,
Peaches are pretty fucking spectacular.
See, I like the Greek philosophy a little bit more, where like Zeus made like two faces, and he was like it was too dangerous, and so he separated the two faces, and then now we have like man and woman.
Man, I did not expect that he is still here when he come back. Damn,
well,
he got into
That
that convo.
that you missed the adamantium penis talk.
I mean,
Man, how did we get back?
when I left, the conversation was already at a high, but now you guys topping it.
topping. Yes, we're topping it. But
Someone kick that guy. Someone kick that guy.
And now we have Devon in here. Devon, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing?
good, bro. How you
It's
doing?
been eventful. I'm probably gonna keep
I'm
the
doing.
space open for another like 10
Oh
or 15
wow!
minutes
Wait,
or
hold
so.
on. He's adapting to the Devon's slang.
It's a form of what's that called? When you like, it's a form of, it's like a compliment. You know, you talk it. You talk this way.
Get
I
that
talk
guy out of
that way.
here.
It's mimesis is like a form of endearment, right? Isn't it?
Wait, what?
Like, if, let's say, for example, Devon, like,
Forget about it, Devon.
no. Like, if you go in somewhere and people are talking a certain way, and you kind of slight change your voice a little bit to it, like, it can be a way of just kind of navigating a space, but it also could be a form of endearment.
Saying he
Yeah.
respects you, Devon.
Are you referring to code switching?
What's the name? What's that word? I've never heard that.
Code switching?
Code switching.
Code switching.
What? Oh, code switching.
Code switching, yes.
What's that?
No idea. Let's change the topic. Devon, how was your day today?
My day was actually pretty well. I'm finally back home, so I'm just getting in the mix and getting
Did
back
you have a
on everything.
rotisserie chicken today?
No, man, I didn't go to the gym. I was actually going to go to the gym, and then it was just too cold, man. It's 0 degrees outside.
Are you
I
ready
don't
for
know what
this
that is in
new
Celsius.
deregulated environment we're heading into, Devon?
Deregulated? I thought we were getting
Yeah.
more regulation.
No. It's crime season. Don't you know that? It's crime season.
That's it,
I
man.
mean, we've already gotten 2 major grifts day one, so I guess anything can go.
Also, Deck XPT said it. All on-chain crimes are allowed now.
Who said
He's a
that?
sleuth. Zach XPT. Do
Oh,
you
I
know
haven't
the
seen
sleuth?
that. I haven't seen
And
that guy.
and do you know what people want in the wild wild west more than anything? Just a little bit of order.
A little bit of order out of chaos.
A little bit of order,
I mean,
that's it.
even that pastor who was preaching,
Oh, I
at the
seen that guy.
inauguration, launched a
Oh
token,
yeah.
like launched a meme coin. Like, what is going on? Like, everybody's launching it.
He should have just used
Has Trump
Jesus
signed the
coin.
executive orders today?
Yeah, I mean, what is that about? Like gender and Gulf of America? Damn, you guys have real problems, huh?
Has Trump signed
First
any
world problems.
executive orders for crypto today yet?
Wait, I
Oh,
missed it. What did he sign that? I totally missed what he signed already.
he signed an executive order that essentially stated that there are only two scientific genders, male and
Two
female.
genders and
Are you
he's
Was
serious?
that the
renaming.
first? Was that
Yeah,
number
yeah.
one? That was like his first agenda, like
One
I
of
don't
item.
know if
them.
this was
One of them.
no.
It wasn't the
The
first one.
Yeah, I think the first one was about the border, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the border's a national emergency. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the gender, and then he's renaming Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. So yeah.
Do
So
you know
yeah.
how
I don't
expensive
know if
that's
you're
gonna be?
trolling
That's
me
gonna
or not.
cost so many. Like, imagine how many people are gonna have to change like their maps and stuff. Like, that's gonna cost like what? Why? Like, I'm sorry, I don't understand that one.
Is Vet trolling?
Oh, well, it got
No.
Greenland's gonna be
Did you
gonna
watch
be
the inauguration?
yeah,
No, no,
Greenland's
I
gonna
didn't
be
watch it.
Trump land.
Wait, you are American and did not watch inauguration, and I'm not even an American, and I didn't watch it.
No, I never watched the inauguration, man. It's so boring.
Come on, Devon. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
actually really boring. It's long.
Devon, they showed a new map. You know, Greenland's gonna be Trump land. We got the Gulf of America. You know, Canada is just part of North America now.
This
You know,
is
if you
hilarious.
capsized yesterday, you capsized in the Gulf of Mexico,
Could
and
you
you
imagine?
capsize today, it's the Gulf of America. So like how do they like where are you lost? I don't know. I'm either in the Gulf of Mexico or in the Gulf of America. Like how do you like relay that message to the poor person lost at sea?
I think we'll be fine. But
So
yeah, I
no,
think there are
no
Still
definitely
executive
going to be a
seems
orders
like
lot
a
of
could
map.
big
be.
hurdle.
Welcome up, persistence.
Hey, how we doing? I just had a question. In order to take an oath on a Bible, do you have to be touching it?
I saw that persistence. Why did he put his hands in the Bible?
Wasn't even close, right?
Yeah, no, like
He
Melania
didn't
was
even
holding
he
it.
didn't nick it. He didn't just like kind of touch it with a fingertip.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
if he's been president this whole time,
Just the tip.
he doesn't need to do that. Then I guess, right?
Yeah, right, okay.
You raise your right hand and put the left on it, right? No, normally. Isn't that the case? The left, you put the left hand on the Bible, and the right hand, you raise it.
What do you think? He thought it might like burn his hand or something, or
No, but I think Joe Biden thought that because he would
oh,
only
you
touch an
thought
upside down Bible.
Man, do you see those last day pardons?
Insane.
Oh,
What the hell?
Insane.
everybody like? Didn't Trump do that too, though? I mean, just for the
they
record,
always do that. Yeah, yeah.
You
Fauci
don't
was a pretty big like
you don't normally
WTF though.
you don't normally pardon people before they've been accused of a crime.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but he's
It's
innocent,
weird
right?
how that works out.
I mean,
It's
do
like,
you
by
think
the
that's because
way,
of
any
Kennedy coming in?
I
yeah,
don't
it's like preemptive protection. That's what I think. It's like if you're gonna throw some lawsuits,
There's
so
no protection against military tribunals, though.
I don't know the rules against. I don't know the rules on like does a pardon like overcome a court martial? Like I don't even know how you would know that. Did you read that?
I didn't read it, but um, I just assume that they're saying that they're being pardoned under the corporation law, which is basically contract law. But that doesn't cover all jurisdictions.
Oh man, I don't believe that stuff. I've heard it. I'm not saying that the corporation thing isn't a thing, but I'm just saying they've been saying this stuff forever now. Like, oh, he's gonna lock them up. He's gonna lock them babies up. He's gonna, I mean, not the real, like, he's gonna put them into Guantanamo and all that stuff. Ain't nobody in Guantanamo except for
But
like
but but, but
Afghanistan.
you would agree that the move is to go back to more of a constitutional republic, right?
I mean, it seems like that, but I just the methodology that, like,
Let's be honest. Hold on, persistence. This I don't think people know what this guy is all about too, because he's really unpredictable. I feel
Who?
like I have no idea what he's about to do. Like Trump and
Trump?
his whole
Come on
yeah
now.
administration.
He's
Did you
obviously taking more
anticipate
of a
that meme
private
coins?
company approach because he's employing, he's asking private, people like Elon Musk to come basically take care of the government. They're not government officials, so they're not bureaucrats, right?
I mean, listen. The first thing is to make that inauguration a little bit shorter. It could be a Doge thing.
Well, that's a good question.
yeah.
Why wasn't it outside? I know it was cold here, but it wasn't like that cold, right? And why is it? Why would I look up Washington D.C. on my maps? It just says Washington. Where's the D.C. part at? All these are things that are making me think that we're moving towards this constitutional republic that we're founded on, right? Not to mention all of these, Roe v. Wade was moved to the states. A lot of things were moved to the states. So It's just a shift of moving from a centralized power structure to a decentralized power structure where the states have the majority of the power. Hence why we
Percentage.
have.
What is that? What is that high whistling? There's a high whistle.
I'm
It
in
was
my
a
car,
it
so
was a drill, I think, behind him.
no, I'm in a car. So my bad.
Oh, maybe the wind. Sound like a
Is that
tire.
better?
Yeah, yeah, better. Yeah,
It's my heat. My bad. Good year.
yeah. Sounds like maybe you have a quarter inside of it or something.
So yeah, exactly.
JB, why do you change your
How did
name
you
so
know that?
often and shut down your
Because I
account?
have a child as well.
That's a bug. Who's asked me that?
That was me that asked you that. Why do you
Devon?
cancel your account or shut down your account and come back with a different name?
Sometimes the easiest way for me to like step away is just to if I'm on here, I literally am scrolling 90% of the day. It's terribly addictive, and I don't have a great like personal discipline. So if I just delete it, it works better for me that way because then I can really like distance from it a little bit.
It's like
And
an ex
then
girlfriend.
So you
yeah, it's like
reemerged during the time of the crypto takeoff. So what is your thought process now that Trump is in office? How do you feel the direction of the market is going to go?
it does seem that I mean Trump is definitely going to be favorable to like regs and stuff. So Ripple finally gets some relief that way. Um, in general, I mean, I only like invest in XRP and XLM, so that's the only two I care too much to think about the direction. But I think it's nothing but up. To be straight up, nothing
Do you
is really
see it
negative to me
extending
right
into
now, and
next year,
everything
or do you
seems to be
think
in a
that
good spot.
do you see us going into next year? Or do you think we top some time around first, second quarter? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's King Week. You know, this week was started off by Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and so I think, and I got that one from Saul, so I'm not going to take credit for it, but I think that's a good sign. I think that I think this next couple weeks should be pretty lit. So I don't know when top. If I'd be more comfortable saying like where do I think top. I think I think top is in the hundreds. I really do, but you know maybe I'm wrong on that one. But I think on XRP specifically, I think top is in the hundreds.
You don't mean
I
this
don't
year.
know.
Wow, bullish.
You don't mean this year, do you?
Look at you,
Oh damn,
JB.
he's bullish.
Definitely possible that it's this year. No, and when I say top, I'm one of those like, 1,000 to 100,000 people. I really am, and that's probably like that may be derided by some, but that's my kind of top. But
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that. I'm just trying to clarify. You're saying 100 this year. You think
oh
that
yeah,
that's
100.
on the table?
Yeah, I say definitely could be this year though. It could stretch like a year and a half. I mean, but I think this cycle, like the high point for XRP within the next, let's say 2 years, just to be safe, is in the hundreds.
Is that based off of what? What do you think that that's based off of? Some sort of announcement where they're going to be strategically using XRP, or is that just strictly just off buying and sell and speculation and trading volume? Where are you getting that number from?
A little bit of chart, I guess. A little bit of chart dabbled in there. Riddlers, like so all of the disciplines of crypto analysis, really. Yeah, totally degenerate stuff, but yeah, that probably will be used at some point. I could have see it being used. Look, I mean, the biggest thing is the BRICS summit of 2024, like their statement at the end of that summit tells me that something is coming between the BRICS and the G7, and something needs to sit in there. It's got to be a decentralized public blockchain. I mean, that's the recipe. XRP is probably the best one. Um, so that's a high price.
What did they say?
I would post it if I
If
wasn't
you
driving, but
paraphrase.
basically they said, yeah, just look up the 2024 like statement of the BRICS, and at the end of that meeting, they basically put out like a few agenda items, just like the G7 does, and one of them was like, we don't want a system anymore that we can be censored from. We need to have something that's fast, efficient, cheap, and is not censorable. I'm giving you the basics. You can look it up. I would post it if I,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Thank you.
So that whatever that is probably agreeable to both the G7 and the BRICS on some level. So and XRP is that. So yeah. hundreds, thousands, and then tens to hundreds of thousands. Just time.
Yeah, I saw some people that noticed that Brad and Stewart were on the sidelines as well today
On the sidelines of.
They're at the inauguration.
of the inauguration. Yeah, yeah. JD
Love it.
JD walked over, said hi to Brad.
So they didn't get invited to the deck where Zach was, and Jeff Bezos' wife with her boobies out. Bro, how you gonna let your wife go on the stage like that? That's a. I mean, let's throw that out there real quick. Like, what?
It's Jeff Bezos.
But so you feel like that's a flex? I don't know if I'd feel like that's a flex, but what?
No, I think that she tells him what to do.
Ah, okay. She's just wearing the pants.
It seems like a cuck.
He's. Did you say? Jesus.
He has that perception. I gives off a little bit.
Well, Zuck was looking to.
I saw him waving at Trump
Yeah.
today, and I was just like laughing because he's like waving, and Trump's just like doesn't give a fuck.
I was gonna do a rhyme with Zuck, and it was gonna be wild and inappropriate, so I left it.
See, like
That
that,
guy just looks confused.
like that Elon talking about putting the American flag on Mars.
What about it?
Mars.
Just you liked it?
I liked it. It's perspective. It says we can. I believe we can do this in 4 years.
Go to Mars is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's right.
Some suspect that Mars has a different meaning. Meaning like could be a I don't know what it could be, but some people think it has a different meaning.
Man,
Correct
Diesel
me
is
if
in the audience.
correct
Long
me if
time no
I'm
see,
wrong, but they
Diesel.
did find water on Mars, correct?
Shellfish is giving you the okay.
Yeah, I think there's like a polar cap, isn't there? Like the on the mount, is it Etna? Mount some, I don't remember the name of that.
They found ice. Yeah.
They found ice. Do you know if they found flatworms? Because I remember hearing that, but I'm not sure.
Nothing organically alive publicly.
Nothing organically alive. Okay.
Yeah,
He
no,
said
no.
publicly.
There's nothing from any of the meteorites. Like we had Bennu, right? There, nothing really spoken about from a release about any sort of organic material or
Death Ranger.
things.
Tell me this though: we go up there playing our little flaggy on Mars, and then what happens when the aliens are like, "Bro, we've been here for like 13,000 years." Then what do we do? Oh, sorry. I mean, like, let's take our flag down. What do you do then? Because didn't they say they had pyramids on Mars? Or am I just making that up?
Making it up.
Well, if it's already owned, then we have to respect that ownership and take the flag off and say, can we plant our flag
Didn't
somewhere
do
over
that with the
here?
Indian
Are
now.
we
Like,
are we able to purchase
sorry.
some sort of property lines where we can collaborate? Collaboration is the next step. But yeah, that would be interesting if we ran into that issue there, JB.
Do you think that's a possibility for real, bro?
I think that's the most hopeful possibility we could hope for. Because if there's life here and there's life on Mars, the possibility for intelligent life spanning way beyond our solar system is potentially much higher in percentage. And so therefore, it's just that feels good. That feels positive in my
What
opinion.
happened? Is the nanobot
Fitzik, why are you sticking
bro,
your
the
thumb down? You
shellfish.
sell cows.
Shellfish, the nanobot just kicked in on Death Ranger. He was talking. He's like, "Oh, oh, what happened?"
Oh, not the nanobot.
Yeah, I got those nanobots. Yeah.
Fitzik, come up here. Come defend your honor.
Need some ivermectin.
There's no way I see intelligent life force wanting to talk to humans at this point in time.
Why not, Devon?
Well, I mean, it's the Fermi
Oh, they're
paradox.
about taking the high ground.
Yeah, right. Fermi paradox, dark force theory, right? In reality, there are. I shouldn't say in reality, right? In the larger perspective of things, there are really three larger pictures to look at it from, right? Before any large,
Bro, you about to go into
well-oriented.
three different like theoretical concepts. Let's hear what Devon
well,
thinks why the alien won't talk to us.
because it has to do with it, right? Because there are three things that could happen
You're
from
still doing
an
the three.
initial
You're still going
interaction.
into the three, aren't you?
Yeah, go into the three. Yeah. So okay, so here's the
Bro,
the
can we
most
just hear
positive.
Devon's simple thesis first and then the three?
All right, Devon, he wants to hear
I
your
actually
thesis.
want to
Let's
hear
hear
Death Ranger's 3 first.
it.
No, I don't
uh,
want to hear the. I don't want to hear the three yet. That's
Love
too
it.
much.
Okay, so the first one is because the most the most common thing will be is that if the initiator, so whoever initiates the conversation, is essentially putting themselves out on a limb because they're saying, "Hey, I'm here. Do you want to talk to me?" And the other person can essentially just say, "No, I'm going to punch you in the face back," and then, so that could kill our whole species, right? And so that that being a possibility, you have to acknowledge the other two then possibilities is that nobody would want to talk to us because, hey, there's that possibility that if they initiate and then we say hello back and we don't punch them in the face, then they then may punch us in the face afterwards if they after
What if
they
they don't
realize we're
communicate
here.
verbally?
It's less of a verbal communication. It's more of this acknowledgement of existence, and so
The punching of the face is not verbal, right?
yeah. So if I know you exist and we've initiated contact in any sort of fashion, I now have a means of making a decision of if I want to be peaceful or destructive. So if I don't know you're there, then that can't happen, right? And so there's this kind of, you have these three options, right, that can kind of occur. And so because of that, in most cases, the larger percentage of, if you had to factor it down a Merkle tree, is that most species will probably take the not interacting pathway because it's the easiest pathway for survival and the highest probable of not being a destructive choice. So it's like,
Could they not interact with us but still have some kind of like effect on our could they still manipulate us but without contacting us? I guess is the question.
well, then that would mean that they know we exist. And so the opposing side of that already exists. They could easily destroy us because they already know everything about us existing. And so, there's that risk of, well, then we would want to initiate conversation because if they know we exist and they haven't killed us yet, then they are by some means peaceful. So that's positive.
Was that what you were
I
saying,
like that.
Devon? Was that like basically what you were gonna say, or
There's a common, yeah, he pretty much hit a combination of things. I try to simplify it as quickly as I possibly can.
All right, go
I have
Devon. You got it.
I have two
Bullet
theories.
points.
I have two theories for why I don't think that they would want to contact us for right now. I believe that intergalactic traveling in our current form, our bodies that we have, is pretty much impossible. In order for us to be actually able to accomplish that goal, we would have to supersede our physical body. And in order to supersede our physical body, in order to have intergalactic travel, there's a lot of things that have to happen, which is the advancement of our intelligence and the way we treat each other, and we kind of still operate on a lower level or a lower vibrational pull amongst all of us. So I don't think that we're at that point where we'll be able to even entertain intergalactic travel based off of our survival instinct. So that's one. Two, I look at us the same way. I look at an intelligent life force to us the same way we look at monkeys, right? We allow monkeys to thrive, have their own ecosystem when we live amongst them, and we are not hell bent on trying to destroy them because our intelligence in comparison to them is just that far advanced that we are able to maintain our own societies and structures while they have their own thing and we live simultaneously. And I believe that the higher intelligent life look at us the same way. They're living simultaneously amongst us, and they're just waiting for us to evolve intellectually, spiritually, and all of the things that matter for them to actually want to entertain and interface with us for their own safety, right? If we were to interface with or interact with monkeys for our own safety, it's probably not good because they operate at such a lower vibrational instinctual level. So for intelligent life force, I just don't see the risk versus the reward of wanting to entertain humans at this current standing point in time because we are just too hell bent on destroying each other.
And if you watch humans for more than 5 minutes, you realize you don't need to do anything. They'll kill themselves.
I don't. I mean, if you go to another country, they're not like if you go out and reach out to people, for the most part, people want to interact with people. We're very social. I think the construct that you're talking about has to do with lack in the economy. I think when we start solving those problems where we're not fighting over resources or
Like
religion,
yeah,
yeah,
right.
I
Like
think
like a mentality of
yeah,
scarcity.
yeah,
So,
once we move
Shellfish,
past the
may I ask you this
scarcity.
question? When we think of intelligent life force doing intergalactic travel, do we look at them as one entity, or do we look at them the same way we look at humans, where we say Americans, Chinese, or do we just say aliens? Do we look at them being more collective, or do we look at them kind of separate in the way that we visualize ourselves?
Well, I think alien is a derogatory term first, but before
I'm gonna
Shellfish
keep
answers,
saying it, Death
Fin,
Ranger, and I think we could. I think we'll be able to jump. We're gonna jump, 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 baby, jump, and travel. Even if
So, are the Chinese aliens coming to contact us, or is it just the American aliens? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the way
Devon.
we right? It's kind of crazy, right? Until we pull our resources together, um, we're very limited in our approach to things.
Yeah,
but
I don't
Fin.
know. I think we've gone through this. Like we're all kind of connected. It's kind of looking at the body. Like if you look at a human body, like the liver is part of the same ecosystem as the heart, as the brain cells. Like you have everything within that body, right?
why'd you go?
Uh, I, I don't know. I think the same thing with like quote unquote aliens, as you want to call it. Whether they're from Sirius star system or I don't know. Like it's all one and the same. It's just something we have to put a name on it so that way we can say that's where they're from.
Uh,
But
Well,
they're still us.
it
We're
would be.
Plasma.
them.
We're plasma beings. We're all plasmas, and then, but I'm still gonna say alien. And technically, a Chinese person comes into America. They're an alien, illegal alien.
No, no, no. I didn't mean
And
in that aspect.
this
I'm
is
just
why
meaning
the
like,
term extraterrestrial is what I think you mean to use, Devon, right? Because
yeah,
alien,
well,
basically, that's why I mean it's like a derogatory
well,
almost instead
fair
of
enough.
terminology.
But do we perceive these extraterrestrials having borders in their native land, right? Or are they working harmoniously amongst each other?
Depends on how philosophically and mentally they've advanced, and whether it's relative for us to be able to understand that or not would be dependent on our ability to exchange some sort of language between the two of us,
But
and then of course the comprehensional if we're able to just say view their operations of their species over time. That could be like a singular perspective for each individual, but
differentiate, if we were to scale it up using our own uh, physical conduits as ourselves, right? We understand our limitations and what it's going to take for us to achieve certain milestones. For intelligent life force to actually be able to do interdimensional traveling would require so much. How is it that they are still limited by the same construct at our lower level thought process is limiting theirs? I just don't see that being possible. I see them thinking way beyond that.
yeah, it's it's relative, right? It's the 5 minute mile. Before anybody could run a 5 minute mile, everyone thought it was impossible to run a 5 minute mile. After somebody ran a 5 minute mile, you have multiple people breaking that 5 minute mile kind of concept, right? And so it's just this, it's a limiting factor in the collective awareness of what is possible and what is limited by the just the essentially philosophical observational approach behind what is the attempt to say have some sort of causal evolutionary emergence process. But fintech, you've if Devon, if it's okay, fintech has had his hand up for a while now. I
Oh, I
feel
didn't see his hand up.
oh. Oh, that makes sense. For Shellfish probably couldn't see it either. Fintech, go ahead, jump in, man, and then we'll go to
Hey
Harbinger, and then
now!
EG, man, welcome.
First of all, it's a 4 minute mile, not a five, so I had to
There you
make that
go.
point. Number two, you guys, is there any oxygen on?
I can't even hear him talking. I'm gonna drop down. I'll come back.
Is there any oxygen on Mars? No, very little.
Yeah,
You
very
guys know how
little.
much CO2 is on Mars? This is a good one for you. Do you know how much CO2 is on Mars compared to the United
How
States
do you want
or
that
to
answer?
the
Like in pounds, or do you want it in like how many
well,
tons? Is it
parts
metric
parts
tons?
per million? I mean, that'd be good enough. You'll find out that that if you know, the liberals surely aren't going to fucking Mars after you see how much CO2 is there.
Are you
So
expecting an answer here, or were you just kind of?
no, I really am expecting an answer because I've done the research. You guys haven't,
Well,
obviously,
then
but
how
you.
would you expect an answer? I
Well,
don't know.
because you're flippantly talking about going to Mars, and I love Elon in a lot of respects. Do you guys know how long it would take with today's technology to get to Mars?
Takes about 6 months. Yeah.
About nine, but most people.
Well, it has to be time though. You can't just
It's
leave
Yeah.
anytime and get there in six
Correct.
it's
months.
Correct. It's in about 2 years from now. It'll be optimal. Yeah.
it's kind of it's flippant just to toss it around. Now, um, I'll have to ask you this: what if? This is the big what if. What if on the other side of that ice wall is Mars?
I think one way or another we have to discover it, FinTech.
Are you
That's
talking
true.
flat
But
Earth?
there's no oxygen on Mars for us to breathe. So how the hell are we going to live there? I mean, come on, Elon's smarter than this. You guys we're gonna take a bunch of oxygen bottles up there like we do to the top of Mount Everest? Are we going to try to manufacture oxygen up there? Is that going to be the natural resource, or it wouldn't be natural, man-made resource that's worth more than oil? I mean, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever logically if we believe in science to go to Mars. So
Well,
what
do you
is
believe in the
Mars?
movie with
Where is
Matt
Mars?
Damon? I mean, do you believe in that movie?
Say that
Well,
again.
Do you believe
I
in the movie where Matt Damon grew potatoes on Mars?
No,
nice. I think
but I
there's
like
also
that movie.
probably also a lot of things that we still don't know. Like Devon just brought up, right? If what if there's like what if we're completely mistaken about Mars and there's an entire species living there or some sort of thing, right, occurring. So
I
Mars
like
is like a
more of the
utopia earlier,
I
right?
like
Or
more of the conscious level of consciousness and wormholes or um, where you could actually, because you're right, Devon, physically our bodies couldn't get there. If you do any research at all, you'll figure out that whatever they lied to us about, and Kubrick filmed the movie about going to the moon, nothing that they constructed back then would have made it through the radiation belt. But yet, a lot of people in this room still believe we went to the moon. It just doesn't make any sense at all. So when I try to make sense of it, I start thinking of what is Elon really referring to? Maybe there are undiscovered continents in human life, or not human life, but on the other side of the ice wall.
Are you a flat earther?
I don't know that I believe in flat Earth, but I do believe that there's an ice wall, and I do believe that there's something on the other side of that ice wall, and that we haven't been told the truth about what's on the other side of that ice wall.
Death Ranger, are you when okay, let me frame this in a way. Do you believe that the physical body that we have today will actually touch Mars?
yeah, possibly. Yeah, could it? Yeah, but so this is an interesting question though because um well the, this is why I like to say that there's just an infinite amount of possibility because if you were to construct some say a device as like such as a warp drive, right? And actually grabbing a post right now that from a mathematical perspective actually does a great way to philosophically also describe how how the approach behind the thought of like a warp drive device it's less about what um the yeah, let me grab this post actually because it talks about the way that you could, from a mass perspective, see that it would be less in conjunction of the speed of light and more in conjunction of the amount of mass that could be created in a singular point, and that interaction in what we consider to be space and that measure in between space and the relativeness of time that would be able to be altered. But if you were able to say create a device, right, that where it was able to traverse this um, before and after, right? Well, does that mean that Mars doesn't exist? Doesn't that mean that other solar systems doesn't exist? Could we get to Mars just as fast as we could take it to another planet that possibly exists in a different
No,
solar system?
no, I don't see that possible because there are two things that you said that I have to ask about to kind of gauge where we're at. So for one, I would say if you're talking about warp speed, the reason why our physical bodies couldn't get there is because if we were going that fast without having something to stabilize that, we would turn into mush within a second going that fast, right? We would just literally turn the pace. The second thing I would have to ask you is, do you think that E equals MC squared is an actual viable solution? Do you think that that equation is absolute?
I think it's actually only part of an equation, and so it's very interesting that you brought that up because that is actually um, the part of it, right? That you would think about when
Yeah,
in
that's why I kind of figured that.
relativeness to
But
it. But it would only be and this is an interesting thing because I think that Einstein, of course, being from a historical standpoint, part of what we have as history and physics, highly influential and important, but also missing an entire like an entirely important section of what maybe wasn't discovered or wasn't really spoken about in the ways that some of the algorithms. Sorry about that. I have to go in 5 minutes also, but some of the algorithms, the way that they were,
wait, before
the
you
way the
don't
way
leave on that, Neff. So, do you believe that what do you believe the missing equation from E equals MC squared is?
Well, not that it's a missing equation, that E equals MC squared is just part of what could be a much larger part of an equation that allows for, say, something like a ship to learn a ship that utilizes technology, right? Because you then have to take it just from the mathematical symmetry standpoint and then say, how do we build physical operations in which that enables this geometrical relation behind this, say, force and mass to be created and stabilized, and then how do we put this into something like a ship? And so the equation of the thought of if we create this much mass, then this can be the outcome of that is only like one part of the step, if that makes more sense.
Oh
Well,
man,
and I
I gotta
wanted to
pocket
jump
this
in
in the
here.
next
I wanted to jump in here,
thoughts
Devon,
here.
if you don't mind. The problem with any of this is going to be the idea of time dilation. Um, and I think if once you start talking about leaving the solar system in terms of like traveling with any kind of rocket technology, you're always going to be battling against the fact that the faster you are traveling relative to the speed of the Earth, time is going to travel much more slowly for you. So even if we had the technology like a warp drive tomorrow, they could take us to Alpha Centauri, which is only a few light years away. So much time will have passed in between you going there and coming back, the Earth would be unrecognizable. So when we're talking about these great distances, and that's just from the closest star. I mean, then you start to think about how big the galaxy is. Intergalactic travel seems almost like literally impossible unless you have a way to access some type of wormhole, this
Portal.
theoretical thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I think if there is kind of any intelligent life, they have somebody mentioned it. I think Devon mentioned it. They do have some way of doing interdimensional travel where they can get past the time dilation of having to physically travel.
That's the only way. It's the only way. That's in my mind, as and with my limited understanding, that's the only way that's currently possible. If you're talking about using this body, which is why I wanted to dive into E equals MC squared because I think that if Einstein accounted for consciousness and spirit within that equation, it would solve kind of what we're talking about right now, right? Energy mass squared, right? So if I am a bigger person, I should be able to generate enough energy to fight a smaller man and dominate him every time. Yet we have seen people who are smaller beat the strongest, biggest man, right? Why is that? Because there's something that is missing out of that equation that I feel like is never really talked about, and that's the human will, the human spirit, right? The belief in wanting to fight back and to dominate. I think that E equals MC squared is kind of flawed, but it makes sense to get on paper, but I think it doesn't equate for the whole collective consciousness. That's just what I see so far.
Well, one
What
thing that
can expand on that?
Einstein really hated the idea of quantum physics. And when you talk about consciousness, that really comes into play with quantum mechanics, because you have the observer's effect, which only objects will appear in certain spaces only when they're being observed. They will pick a position. Sorry, Death Ranger.
No, no, it's okay. It's okay. Um, yeah, so back to the relativity of it, right? Because Harbinger, that was a great point, right? This is why, when you speak about it being a thought of getting from objective A to objective B, the relativeness is the changing in the observational perspective from the outside of the ship, from the way that we would manipulate the mass, right, to gravitational perspective. And Devon, in this kind of thought that you mentioned beforehand, right, where like the bigger guy should have beat the smaller guy because he could should have produced more energy. It's an interesting perspective, but in the thought of the way that you would think about energy equalizing mass, right? E equals mc squared. This notion of size, not really pertaining to how much mass an object can have. And so things can be very, very deceiving in that kind of case. Of course, you see some of the most massful objects could possibly be some of the smallest objects. I say
Neutron star.
yeah. I mean, if you had the, say, the sun, and you had it the size of a marble inside of our hands, it would have enough mass that, at least as we calculate it using something like Einstein's equations, that it would form into a black hole. Um, but that thought, and also the thing of a black hole, like what is a black hole? Also, right, this relativeness of mass kind of folding in on itself because of this gravitational well that gets so energized that it essentially rips a hole in the fabric of what we would think about to be time and or space, and the relativity behind. The objectiveness behind time, because of the changing of the notion of the speed of light. E.g., you've been up here though, man. You haven't gotten to speak, and I also have to go in 2 minutes. So if you would like to jump in before I have to head out.
Hey, I didn't want to grab the space, and discussion was so interesting. I didn't want to bother anyone, but I really
Are you there? Is
can you
he
hear me?
speaking?
He's speaking.
Ah, I can't hear him. Let me kick you down real quick, E.g., and bring you back up.
Death Ranger, we have to talk about black holes next time.
Oops, sorry, I did not mean to hit thumbs down.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, I can definitely. I'll bring it up. I'll be more prepared for the conversation and the topic. I was not intending to go into a physics thought and conversation here today, so it was definitely interesting direction. A lot of interesting conversation so far. EG though, welcome back up, man.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, fantastic. Brilliant, brilliant. Another very interesting space and really, really interesting discussion. And I love this extension of EMC square. That's something that I've been pondering for a very long time, actually, and just wanted to bounce off a couple of ideas and then let you go because I know, dear, you have a time constraint. So I just wanted to kind of add a couple of things to that. One specific thing that I wanted to add into that is that EMC square basically takes into account the what you call the rest energy. It doesn't take into account the total energy. So the kinetic energy is not included as far as my understanding goes. And there are some other things. So, for example, you can have a non-relativistic speed and relativistic speed as well. So you can kind of extend that equation based on that. So you can have kind of a momentum included into this, which is currently not part of it. So when you consider the momentum, then you are taking into account both the rest energy and the kinetic energy. So that is something that I wanted to just put on the table. And the other thing is obviously the relativistic effect of it. So, for example, when you kind of reach the speed of light, your classical mechanics will fail, obviously. So then you need to get into kind of a special relativity where you take into account again how the energy and the momentum are kind of intertwined with each other. And then comes to the body part is where in my view, like yes, we are looking at the physics of our body, but what we should be looking at is more of a conservation law, because at the particle level or at the atomic level, it's the conservation of energy that plays the role. Whether your body kind of survives, let's say, or travel at the speed of light, kind of thing. So these are like higher level thoughts. Of course, the time is very limited, so but just wanted to throw these ideas at everyone and see what their reactions are, probably in the future space.
Love it, and I will definitely keep this on topic for the next space we host. I think I'll try to be here tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll keep it on the thoughts of gravity, black holes, and physics. And you know, one thing also, right? Where when I think about one of the biggest things that the Einstein equations and the for the most part physics is kind of missing a little bit part of as well right now is quantum entanglement, or the thought of entanglement in general, and this kind of the usefulness of like the thought of general relativity, being able to say the relativeness for me being able to be as an observational agent to be placed inside of what would be possibly another object or construct could then warp what would be the space and time around me. And if I understand, from that perspective, utilizing that, it makes sense that I could essentially, you know be represented inside of that ship, which is still what is relative to me based off of my observational sense as an agent. Yet the outside of the ship could be essentially warping what would be thought of as space and time, and even the thought of the thought of rest space or inertia. I almost even don't think of it as any sort of propulsion at all. It's essentially existing at one point in time and being represented at another point in time. And of course, we would think about that as happening as quicker than the speed of light, and relativeness to how fast manipulation can occur from a signal or some sort of frequency of light. But yeah, we'll definitely get way more into it. And I loved it. Thank you very much for coming up, EG. Devon, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I know you got to go. I just wanted to ask you one quick question. Do you believe in string theory?
I think that quantum is another version of metaphysics, is another version of this underlying platonic level space, or I like to think of it as a platonic mind space, in which there is an enaction of some sort of realm of intelligent operation that, through these symmetrical relations of energy, are essentially the substrate that binds reality together. And so, I don't know if that answered that question or not, because I think string theory is an attempt to describe that in one methodological method. Oh my gosh, in one method way, one way that it could be used as a method to scientifically say utilize it to create tool sets that could then enact some sort of physical actions. But yeah, I think it's also been a huge disappointment as well, in the sense of like the discoveries that were promised essentially from what string theory could have been. So you could take that from it as well. From at least a lot of people in the physics community say stuff like that. I don't know, it's personal perspective. It's like it's more to me. It's more about what's relative, right? What's the relative means of the way of describing the situations of all the different actionable steps that reality can take, and its meaningfulness in relation to what you would like to see. Yeah,
Thank you.
love you guys. It was a great space. I thank everyone for coming today, and yeah, wow, this is we touched a lot of topics, so awesome. It was a really great space, and I really hope to see the future of the scientific community, United States deregulation environment, this this push for scientific innovation. I'm really looking forward to it. So hope everyone has a great rest of the night, and look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow.